Okay, I am here with Tania, and I am doing this recording, this video testimonial with Tania because we just finished a short coaching package that we did together, and I wanted Tania to share her experience, some of the things that she was able to transform in our work together for a number of reasons. First of all, because if anyone, Tanya, is in your position, I want them to get inspiration from you and see what it is that you were able to work on, and see that if they're stuck in the same position you were, that they can also get similar results, that what's possible for you is also possible for them. And as I often say, coaching is easier to experience than explain. And so by having us do this short interview so that someone could see the power of coaching to reach or achieve or get closer to a goal. So those are my intentions here, and really to acknowledge you also for the work that you did, because coaching works when you do the work, and you did that. So I want to highlight and acknowledge you for your own achievements during our work together. So with that, are you ready?
Thank you.
Sure. Well, just to start out, okay, so if someone is watching this and they don't know me and they don't know you, I'll introduce myself. My name is Tara Lutman-Achayak. I am a certified coach. I work mostly with creative entrepreneurs and women building businesses, but I have coached people in a number of different areas. And I am the founder of a group called Creative Impact Studio. It's a private Facebook group for creative entrepreneurs who are building businesses, and I help them in there with training and networking and coaching. And in part of my work in working with the people who are making our world better, I encountered you. A former client of mine referred you to me, and I would like you, Tania, to introduce yourself so that people know who you are.
Sure. So my name is Tania Karas. I am a freelance foreign correspondent. For the last couple of years, I've been based in Greece, Turkey, as well as Lebanon for a little while, primarily focusing on migration policy and refugees. And I have, after freelancing, it's been really rewarding. I've gotten to do a lot of really cool projects, but I've been trying to get on staff because I feel like the stability will allow me to do better work and more in-depth projects, and also just for financial reasons because freelancing is extremely difficult and the pay rates are very low and very unsustainable, especially when you're trying to advance in your career. So I came to Terra seeking help actually with my job search. Which I didn't think to like go to a career coach before that, but I was having a little bit of like an existential crisis during this job search, and I sort of got to a point where I felt that if I wanted to get stability, that I would have to perhaps leave the industry, and I wasn't really sure like how to forge my path forward. So Tara really helped me with that, focusing the job search, figuring out structurally what's wrong with my industry that is not allowing me to achieve my goals, and realizing that it actually has very little to do with my ability and my talent and my experience, and more to do with the way that the industry is currently.
So what would you say, Tania, was your top challenge in the beginning when you first came to me? Was it that?
Yes, I think it actually was. I didn't quite realize that it didn't have much to do with my experience at all, but it had a lot to do with there being very few roles available, and also that the traditional paths to those roles have pretty much cleared up. It used to be that you worked your way up in a newsroom, and then after a certain amount of years, you would get some sexy foreign assignment, and it really doesn't work that way anymore, because so many foreign bureaus are closing, and there are just not that many jobs. So the pathways are, they just don't really exist. And so I think, like, I'd always kind of been hearing about that, but because I wasn't really actively looking for a path to this role before, I didn't realize, I didn't know what that would really mean for me until we started working together.
Okay. So would you say your challenge was that your job search was going slow, or you weren't sure that you were doing the right activities, or you weren't sure if you should even stay in your industry? How would you specifically describe the challenge in your job search?
Sure. Well, one thing was that it's not like there's all these job boards with like foreign correspondent openings. Once in a while you'll see a posting, but they're really pretty rare. And so I think another part of the job search was just realizing that you can't wait for a job to come along to apply for it. You have to be networking and doing a bunch of it's like you have to interview well before the job comes along. So since we started working together, I started putting a lot more time into informational interviews and informational phone calls, with a goal toward networking so that people will remember me when those jobs do open up. So that was one challenge, is like figuring out like how to interview for positions that either don't exist or come along like once in a blue moon.
Great. Okay. So, like, I'm hearing strategy. What kind of strategy did you need to put in place when the traditional path to the job you wanted didn't exist anymore? And and you also had a really specific desire, and in terms of being foreign correspondent, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because what I always say is that desire has to be bigger than the challenges and bigger than the fear. Otherwise, you'll quit before you start. So can you describe in a little bit more detail, as much as you're comfortable, your specific desire?
Sure. So on the first day that Tara and I started our coaching, she asked me, why do I want to be a foreign correspondent? Like, what do I even like about it? And I just told her, like, the first thing that came to my mind was just that it makes me feel alive to be out in the field, to be talking to people from different cultures and from different backgrounds, and to be living and reporting in another country, and, to bring all of those stories back home, to, an American audience. That just makes me feel most alive. Like, that makes me feel like, my game is on, and that's where I just feel like I'm at my best. And so I think I had to at first decide whether that desire was greater than the challenges, like you said. And that was like the first decision I had to make. Did I actually really want it so much that I'm willing to go through this period, this very challenging period of, not quite being able to get what I want for a long period of time, in order to eventually get there. And I decided that, yes, my desire is great enough, and that I'm going to be persistent until I get what I want, and it's not over until I get there.
Beautiful. I love this. This is beautiful. That is gold. That's really essential in this process. And I want you to talk about, we were chatting before I started the recording here, and you were talking about a recent trip you took that was part of this job search that you're doing, and specifically in terms of persistence, how many times you heard no and you showed up anyway, and then what happened? Can you talk about that?
Sure. So I just got back a couple days ago from my second networking trip to New York and Washington, D.C. In the time we've been coaching, I've been to both cities twice. So in both trips, I arrived not really having any meetings set up. And I thought, like, maybe it's not even worth it to come. And I had sent out several emails letting people know that I would be in town, some of them which went unanswered. Some people just said they were busy and talked to me on the phone. But in terms of like actual in-person meetings, I landed not having anything set up. So when I arrived in New York, I emailed a couple of contacts and said like, hey, I know you said you're busy, but I'm here. And then a couple of them actually did meet with me because I took the time and effort to actually show up. And I just made it as easy as possible for them to meet with me. And, I told them I'm happy to come to your office. I'm happy to, get you coffee for whatever amount of time that you may have. And so that garnered a few people to say yes to me, even after they had said no, like 3 or 4 times.
So I want to highlight that. I think that's really important. What you just said before about making a decision that your desire is bigger than the challenges, that you will keep working at it and persisting at it with determination, and that once you make that decision, you can do what you just did. That even when someone says no once, twice, 3 times, you still show up and you get into the door. And
yeah.
So yeah, go ahead. What you're gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like, it's weirdly liberating to be in this stage that you just described, because it's like, okay, fine, like this person says no, but my desire is still greater than their no. So, I mean, their no is not like the end of my job search. It's not the end of my wanting to be in this position. So, that no is just, it's their loss, quite frankly. It's a missed opportunity, but I will find other opportunities.
Beautiful. And if they're, like I said, I coach women who are building businesses, and this is very similar to the sales process. You're selling yourself and yourself as a journalist to get on with one of these major news agencies, outlets, as a foreign correspondent on staff. But it's the same process for someone who's selling a service or a product, or wants an opportunity. Wants someone to say yes to them for an opportunity they want. Perhaps it's speaking at an event or selling services. It's that person's no doesn't mean that your desire goes away, and it doesn't negate that. It just means you keep going and you keep going. So I want to draw that parallel. It's the same process. It's the same thing that happens inside. So, Tania, can you talk a little bit about how we work together, so someone who's never worked with a coach can understand, on a practical level, how we work together?
Sure. So we had, I think, 4 or 5 meetings over the course of a month, plus one intro meeting to figure out how we might work together, as well as a sort of last wrap-up closure meeting. And before every single meeting, you had me fill out a form in which I wrote what I had accomplished since our last meeting and what I hope to accomplish going forward, and what challenges I had achieving those goals on my own. And so we would have something to discuss and strategize about. So I think that process, that for me, because I was doing a job search, and I think most of your clients might be starting a business or scaling up a business, but for me, it also was really helpful because I was doing a job search, because of the accountability factor of having to actually write down what I had done since the last time we talked and what I was going to do between now and the next time we talked. So it was really good for me to have somebody else holding me accountable to my job search. And then when we got on the Skype call together, we would discuss what had happened. We would discuss what I had written down on my form, and then strategize, whatever I had questions about. So we discussed negotiations, what to do when people didn't respond or responded with a no, or in one case actually responded quite rudely at a place I really, really wanted to work. So we discussed kind of how to put myself in the best possible negotiating position, and realizing that I actually can position myself quite strongly because, I do have things to offer. It's not just them offering me a job, like I'm offering them skills and experience. So I think that like our talks helped me realize that too, and I gained a lot of negotiation skills.
Beautiful. Okay, so there's one thing I want to highlight with your permission because I think this really describes part of the transformation that you underwent. That
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning, you were talking about, okay, there's this job. It's a foreign correspondent position on staff at this, major news organization. But why would they pick me over somebody else? So you were questioning, kind of like, am I good enough? Am I qualified enough? Which
Yeah.
is some of the mindset you were going through that was preventing you perhaps from applying for some of the jobs or making you hesitate. And then toward the end, you did something where you wrote your own job description. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So, this from this one specific news outlet, as well as a few others, I did see a couple of foreign correspondent jobs pop up in the last month, but they were mainly in locations that I had not been to, let alone reported from. And I think that one of the things that we figured out, that you helped me realize, was that, yeah, okay, fine, other people may have reported from this specific place before, but I do actually have a transferable skill, and that is setting up in a new country and getting new contacts and getting acclimated to a new culture and reporting on a new country and figuring out a new beat. Like that's a transferable skill no matter what country I'm in. And so it doesn't matter so much that I haven't been to this specific place before because I do have what it takes to get set up in that place. And that was something that was, I wasn't not applying, but I was just delaying in my applications and wasting a lot of time, which is really critical for these positions because they go really fast. And so I was just wasting a lot of time, and I think you helped me realize that I actually do have a transferable and marketable skill. And at the end, so just last week, at one of my networking trips to New York, I had for a job that I was not selected for a news organization. I wrote back to them and I said, I'm in town, will you meet with me? And they did. And when I met with them, I didn't let them know about this before I met with them, but I had kind of this whole elaborate proposal written with a new job description that I thought that they needed and that I would be the person best positioned to do. And I think it was, I didn't hear anything back yet, but I think it was actually a really good strategy because I came in extremely prepared. This is a specific topic that I know I'm very, very, very well positioned to cover. I know a lot about it. I'm a huge nerd about it. And so, I let that passion come through because it was natural anyway. And then after we met, after our meeting, I sent him a formal job description for this role, as well as my cover letter and resume tailored specifically for this new role that I had made up. And yeah, I haven't heard back yet, like I said, but I did think it was a good strategy. I'm very proud that I did that.
Well, I love that story. It is the story of, someone who is questioning her ability, questioning her qualifications, turning into or finding in herself why she is a superstar and should be hired and has everything all laid out, including the job description, the proposal, the cover letter, and all those things. I think it's a beautiful story of you finding your true power, Tania. So I wanted you to tell that story, and can you talk about any other specific results that you got in the month that we worked together?
Yes. So I think big skill that I took away from our time together and that I didn't go in expecting to get out of this coaching relationship is negotiation skills. And, I think everyone can improve their negotiation skills, but in my industry, a lot of times for my freelance assignments, we just kind of like accept really low rates because we think that that's acceptable. And it's not. But it's very rare that reporters actually push back on those rates, and that's why editors think they can set them so low because they know that people will just take work at that rate. And so I think that something that you and I worked on that was really good was talking about how to improve my current situation, because the end goal of my entire job search is stability so that I can do better work. And so if I can achieve a little bit of stability in my current freelance work, that will also help me to get into that full-time job. And so I think the words that will stick with me from our time together is I'm no longer available for this kind of work, but I am available for contractual, regular, longer term work at a higher pay rate. And I did start using that line on a couple of clients to limited success, but it was positive enough that I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep improving my situation like that. And I did get at least one regular client out of our relationship together. So I do have currently a situation where I'm making around $1,000 a month from one regular client that I didn't have before we started. And so that's really good because it's something I can count on. Whereas before I was working always on a per assignment basis, extremely unsustainable.
Yeah, congratulations. Well done.
Thanks.
So let's see. We can slowly finish up here. Did you have any hesitations about signing up to work with a coach, or anything like, do I really need this? Is this really going to help me? Did you have anything like that before we started?
I think I wasn't sure. Yeah, it didn't really cross my mind that I would need a career coach until I felt like maybe I should get an agent or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like only like famous people have agents, but maybe I should find an agent. But then your former client suggested that we work together. My hesitation was that I wasn't sure, because I thought that career coaching and you specialize mostly in women who have businesses, but after we had our first initial meeting, I realized that you could actually help with my job search. And I'm a small business too. Maybe not the same. It doesn't look the same way as it does for some of your other clients, but I am a small business. I'm a one-woman show, and there were a lot of things that you help other clients with that were very transferable and applicable to my situation as well. So I think, my main hesitation was I wasn't sure how you could help me in a job search, but it actually turned out fine. I was very happy with my takeaways from this experience.
I'm happy to hear that. And with that, then my last question is, who would you recommend to work with me, and why? Who do you think would benefit from doing similar work that you and I did?
Mm-hmm. I do think that anyone, particularly women who are trying to scale up their business, would obviously benefit from working with you. But I also think that people with kind of non-traditional questions people who just need a little bit of help negotiating or figuring out a career transition would also really benefit from some career coaching as well. Because I think that the kinds of questions you ask, what are your intentions? How does this make you feel? Those are not questions that I would really think to ask myself on my own. And so I think that those are, those could help. Your line of questioning would help people in lots of different kinds of situations, not just trying to grow their business.
Cool. All right, Tania. Anything else you want to add?
I don't know. I think just overall, this was a really positive experience, and that, I'm really glad that we went through it. I think the main thing to change is my attitude. And I know it's like so cliche, like, oh, like if you can't change the situation, change your attitude. But it's really true. It has really helped me survive this job search and realize that I can make it happen as a foreign correspondent, a staff foreign correspondent, which is still my goal. And I just have to be persistent and persist. And with persistence, hopefully, they'll get to the end.
Well, you're closer than you were before, that's for sure.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and on that note, Tania, if someone, because you are the perfect person for some news agency who's looking for a foreign correspondent to bring on staff, how can they get in touch with you?
They can find me on all kinds of social media. My email is my first name, Tania, Tania .Karas, Karas @gmail.com. My Twitter handle is Tania Karas. My Instagram is Tania Writes, and you can also find me on Facebook too. It's my name.
Well, I'll get all those links and I'll put them in the post of the video. But Tania, I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
I congratulate you on all that you've achieved and transformed, and I admire your persistence and appreciate that you were willing to do this interview so that other people who are in similar positions can see, when your desire is bigger than the challenges and the fears that you have, you can transform just about anything, and I see you on your path, and I can't wait to hear about you from some foreign place in the world.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tania.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.